Welcome to Cycle Breakers and Moneymakers, a podcast for women of color and first gen who are breaking generational cycles and glass ceilings by going places no one before them has ever gone. I'm your host, leadership coach, and eldest daughter of immigrants, Mariela De La Mora. I left a 16-year marketing career to create a multiple six-figure-a-year coaching business as a single mom. Each week, you'll learn how to build unshakable self-trust, become in demand, lead with confidence, and make more money by being more of who you are. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me on episode 51. This episode is going to kind of piggyback a little bit off of last week's episode where I talked about how you can land or be invited to speak in the next 30 days. Essentially, not you going and directly pitching, but attracting speaking opportunities by making it easy to be approached. And with that, I would not be the first gen coach if I did not immediately follow up with, well, what happens when we think about landing a speaking engagement? Even if that is a podcast appearance, it doesn't always have to be walking a stage. It can be you leading a panel, facilitating a panel, or being on one. It could mean being a guest trainer or facilitator or coach. It can mean being on a stage. It can mean lots of things. What comes along with if you just got a bunch of visibility tomorrow? Would you just be like chilling and being like, cool, like more eyes on me? Great. Or would you be like, holy shit, what? I'm freaking out. Like that is normal. It's normal even if you're not a woman of color, because visibility goes kind of in tandem with like your identity and how you see yourself. Like, are you used to having that many eyes on you? And so this is why on our episode today, I thought I would outline not only 6 steps to make visibility feel easier as a woman of color, but why it is difficult in the first place, because I don't just feel passionately about this. I am correct. I am actually correct. And anyone who works with marginalized people will also know this, that it is not just a mindset that you will have a harder time, right? It's not like imposter syndrome. It is like actual systemic issues that contribute to this. And I am going to talk more about this today because a huge part of this is naming the source of why visibility feels challenging for women of color or people of color in general. But I say especially women of color because there's the expectations that society places on women. And then there's the expectations and the cultural things around, being a person of color and a marginalized person. So I'll get to why that is, like naming the source of it so that we don't attribute it as a personality trait, because that I will fucking die on that hill where I'm just like, don't you fucking dare be like, this is a personality trait. This is not something that is a personality trait. It is inflicted upon us by oppression. We will talk about this. But this is important in taking your power back. It's important so that you don't just see yourself as someone who is not good at something. You stop blaming yourself for it. This is an empowered way to see this, to normalize it so you can actually build the safety and the identity to be like, I want to be seen and heard, and I can be, and it's okay that it feels hard, and I'm building the capacity for it. And this is why I have to build the capacity for it, because we need more of us on microphones, on stages, our voices, our ideas, our thought leadership. We need more of that. And I could not effectively coach women of color on visibility and thought leadership if I did not address the things that make it challenging at the source. So first, let's talk about why this is important. Representation. Who do we see oftentimes? Like $1 million business owners, right? On TV screens, movies, running for president, right? Like now we have, we have Kamala Harris and we have the other one who shall not be named. But like we also just see who is in positions of power. Who do we see as CEOs of companies, of big companies? Who do we see on the cover of Forbes? Who do we see? Right? Inevitably, representation creates an impression in our minds of who we are and what is possible for us. And this is why my mission is to get more marginalized people and women of color and first gen visible and not just visible, but get our ideas and our thought leadership out into the world, because that can change the world and it changes our idea of who is behind ideas and success and all the things, right? We need more representation. And I thought about it also because a friend of mine recently launched a community for women founders who have a 7-figure net worth. She's an amazing person, love her so, so much. And inevitably, I'm just like, anytime there's like a community like that, it's naturally going to lean heavily white. And I'm just like, what's between, well, there's several things, but like what's between us and being the poster child for those things as well, right? Like you don't automatically think a woman of color, right? And I want us to think that, but that starts with representation. And visibility is often needed in order to make more money and have more opportunities. And that's true. Visibility, that's true whether or not you're in corporate and you are climbing the ladder because you need to be more visible, you need to be more influential. Your ideas, all of that. It's not just about what you can do, it's about your ideas. Or if you are a startup founder, visibility is important as well because, I was a startup founder, a co-founder. And so there's so much of like being seen and building relationships and all of that. Or as an entrepreneur, visibility is necessary. And the thing is like we as women of color are actually very naturally gifted at building relationships. So like when we are visible, when people encounter us and experience us, we bring them into our world and we know how to build long-lasting relationships. It's the visibility piece, right? We have no challenge with the actual relationship building and delivering a good service and doing a great job. We don't have that as an issue. It's visibility. There's so many ideas around the things that we're good at and why that is. And one thing that I will say, and as I was writing the show notes for this, I literally stopped when I typed this and I was like, whoo, this is the gist of the episode, is that visibility is hard for women of color because of oppression, not because it's a personality trait. Okay. So visibility is hard for women of color because of oppression, not because it's your personality trait. And this is true even for my super successful, like ex-corporate girlies who climb the ladder. They are not immune to this. I've coached women literally, to give you evidence, who are directors at Google, who are senior vice presidents and vice presidents, who have worked for the United Nations. Okay. Like these are badass women to show you this is not a personality trait. They're hella successful, right? Visibility is hard for me. I still, I can rank certain things that feel easy and hard and all of that, even though I'm a great speaker, even though if you handed me a mic at any event, right? Like I love being on stage. I love being visible in person, but like behind the screens feels harder. So this is why I wanted to talk through. So first, what I'm going to do in this episode is talk through, number one, why is visibility hard especially for women of color? And then the second part of the episode, 6 steps to make it feel easier. Okay. So with this being said, we're going to talk about why it's hard, then 6 steps to making it easier. So first of all, why is it hard? So if you're a woman of color, you have likely experienced criticism for your natural way of being, your accent, the tone, your mannerisms, hand gestures, the way you dress, your personality, you're too loud or you are too quiet or whatever, the accessories that you wear, the way that you dress, the colors that you wear, all these things, the language that you use, the words, all the things. You don't know this or have experienced this typically or maybe for some of you, but like in America, if you are a white person, you probably haven't had as much criticism for just the way you are, right? Like I always think about how when I was 19 and I worked at a company called Cellular One, it was a cell phone company. This is when cell phones were kind of brand new to people in the home, like average people buying cell phones. And I remember I was 19, I was going to college, I was working like 34 hours a week and I was in school full time and I was paying my rent and my car and I was trying to hustle, right? I was trying to like make all this money because I was 19 and I had hella bills to pay and I was on my own. Well, I had a boyfriend, but I was still paying the majority of the bills. And I remember I was an admin assistant at the time. And I remember telling my boss, like, I want to be on the inside sales team. Like the inside sales team is selling cell phones and cell phone service to people. And most people were first-time cell phone buyers because it was new at the time. This was the year 2000. This was the year 2000. And I remember, and he was a Latino man, and he said, Mariela, you'd have to lose the street from your voice if we were ever to put you on sales. And it was the first time I was ever like, what? I didn't know what he was talking about because A, I'm Mexican I'm Mexican American, but I also went to schools with like 99% Black and brown kids, right? So there were no white kids in my school. I went to school not knowing English. I don't know, a lot of people don't know that about me. I went to school not knowing English. I only spoke Spanish. I learned English in school. So who did I learn English from? Black and brown kids, immigrant kids, right? This is why I've got, like, for a Latina, I've got a little twang in my voice. I speak a little Bay. I speak a little Hood. Like, that's just where I learned to speak. It is a melting pot. I am a melting pot of Black and brown kids. And I love that about myself. And going in to the workforce, this was pointed out to me. My nails, my earrings, the color that I wore. As soon as my most recent job that I had in London, when I lived in London, they pointed out that I was wearing like a bright red shirt, because in London, they're all about neutrals, right? Hell shit has been pointed out to me. Yet I'm fucking brilliant. I always was like one of the best performers. I was generally doing multiple people's jobs, guaranteed I was irreplaceable when I left every job, because I'm fucking good at what I do. Wherever I am, I worked super fucking hard and I'm really smart. Yet I carried that thought with me ever since. That was the first time I ever felt inadequate just for being who I was. I stopped because that was pointed out to me. I stopped getting my nails done and getting like the little designs on my nails, which is why when I get my nails done now, it's like a big middle finger to all of the times that I had to water this down before, because I stopped having my nails done like in corporate and all of that, because I felt like it was unprofessional. I even didn't want to wear like hoop earrings and like all the things. It's these things that get embedded in your mind that you as a woman of color probably have many stories. And I want to hear them. If you're in this episode and you share this episode on social media and you tag me, respond if you want, if you feel safe to the part of where did you receive criticism for your natural way of being? Because these are the things that make visibility hard. Because I'm just existing, I'm just breathing. And then all of a sudden you're told you can't be that way. That is part of why visibility is hard. You are just existing and breathing and being, and then you are told it is not okay. It is not professional. It is not whatever. So that is one of the reasons why it is hard. Second, we typically culturally are often raised that, like, especially as women in particular, that wanting attention is bad. That attention is bad. That if you're doing the right things, people leave you alone. But if you're doing a bad thing, then you get attention, and attention's usually bad. So there's a lot of like seen and not heard, don't be dramatic, don't center yourself, don't talk about yourself like too much. And that is coming from our parents' desires to keep us safe, because they also know that being visible isn't safe for them. And so that's a lot of what that is. Like, we typically aren't raised to just be like, be yourself and be loud and tell people what you really think, right? That's how I'm raising my daughter. But that's not how many of us were raised. And many of us also, for visibility, especially if you're an entrepreneur, I coach on this a lot for my clients. They're getting the success, and they like quit their jobs, and then they got more clients and they got more eyes, and they start to get the bigger opportunities. And then they start to go, oh my God, I'm afraid someone's going to cancel me. So I've had to coach on this. I'm afraid someone's going to cancel. And we actually have history with this, because for many of us, we came from like communities raised you, not just your parents. Like, your community raised you, the public raised you. There's a lot of enmeshment, a lot of like families and people are in your business and all of that. So you're just like, no, like, I need my community to be on my side, because I need my community to survive. It's such a normal thing, right? It's not a bad thing if you worry about that, but that is a very real thing. I hear about this even more in my mastermind, that I was in, where people were making millions and millions of dollars. Huge. Like, some of them actually do go through it, of people creating entire groups and, Reddit threads and all kinds of shit, like talking about them, right? And that sucks. Like, that's hard. But the thing is that we start to imagine you are in, let's say, year 2 of your business, and you're worried about something that maybe might happen in year 5, or it may not. Right. And so it makes sense that you are like, someone's going to cancel me, that someone has the power to do that to you. So that's another reason why it's hard, because we actually do have experience already, number 1, with being criticized, and number 2, with community being in your business. Right. So it's another reason. Another reason is that many of us grew up under very unforgiving standards, and those standards were to protect you. So many times your parents were like, if you're going to be out there, you better like have all the answers and not be wrong. And I'll hear a lot from my clients who are brilliant. They'll be like, I don't want to look dumb. I don't want to look dumb. And it's just because we have very unforgiving standards that many of us had the microscope like held over us. And it's really just because society is less forgiving. Therefore, family and parents prepare you in this way. And then you become that microscope on yourself. So growing up under very unforgiving standards. And finally, there's an actual reality around being seen is not safe. And that safety is in blending in. And that if you're going to be seen, it better be because you're exceptional, right? If you're going to be seen, it better be because you're exceptional. And that's a lot of what we were raised with. And I'll give you an example just about like why, just little things around like why visibility in itself, like blending in feels more safe. One of my tias, when my family immigrated from Mexico, was over 18 at the time. So at the time, my grandfathers were in a program called the braceros, like they worked in the fields in picking produce and in the dairy farms. And after a certain number of years, you can get your family to move to the States, right? So both of them were in this program. But if your children are over 18, they can't come. And I have tias over 18 that stayed in Mexico for that reason, but they were married. One of them was not, and she came. And she had to be undocumented for a while until they could document her. And I just remember like hearing my mom tell stories about how they were like, we can't like draw any attention to us, all of this because like we don't want your sister to get deported, all of that. So many of us have stories too, just around visibility in that way. We also have actual evidence of being unsafe for visibility around like authority figures, right? It's like why a lot of us don't call the cops, to be honest, because we have actual statistic evidence to show that drawing attention to yourself as a person of color, especially with authority figures like, police, that you could be the person you're calling attention to yourself, and you could be the person getting in trouble, or you could be the person like getting killed, right? Like this shit actually happens. And I know it's still very dark, but I think when you really look at the bigger issue of just like, we're not just jumping on stage. We're not just hopping on like, hey, let me have all the attention on me. Like this is just to validate. Okay, so now, I know we're 17 minutes in, but validation to me as a coach is so important when I'm coaching my clients, because when we do this, we shift from self-criticism and what's wrong with me and why is this hard to deep, deep self-compassion. Like if you just want to hold yourself to that and just be like, damn, I'm so fucking proud of you for being here. I'm so proud of you for picking an avenue that requires you. I'm holding myself literally as I'm recording this. I'm so proud of you for picking an avenue that forces you to sit in the discomfort of being seen when you could pick so many other things that don't require you to be seen. There must be something brewing in you so powerful, a mission that is so powerful that it is pouring out of you. It's coming out of your pores. And you know that in order for that thing to be seen and heard and come to the world, that you need to be seen. And that is so scary. And I'm so proud of you for doing it and for sitting in discomfort, because there are so many easier things that you could do. There are so many easier things that wouldn't trigger you that you could be doing right now. And you're not doing those things. You're here. You're fucking trying. I don't care if you're 5 years into your business and you think like, oh my gosh, there's people who surpass me and are further along than me. It doesn't matter, because number one, you can't compare your sense of safety to someone else's. You can't compare their privileges to your privileges. You cannot. And you do anyway, but I just want you to know it is not the same. The fact that you are still here, there is a part of you that is so wise and so knowing. There is a mission in you that you believe in so much, or you wouldn't even be here, being visible and trying to tell the world about it, right? So I just want to hold you in that. I want to hold you in that and tell you I'm so fucking proud of you for sitting in this, because if it wasn't something that needed to be birthed out in the world and that it didn't matter to you that much, you just wouldn't be doing it anymore. You would just go do something that activated you less. And there would be nothing wrong with that either, right? So like compassion and understanding, and let's point the fucking problem back to the source, not to your personality, not to your personality. It's not your personality. And when we can do that, we can depersonalize some of the things that feel so challenging in business. We can depersonalize it and not make it about us and not make it a personality trait. And then it doesn't feel so insurmountable anymore. Okay, I'm going totally off script, but this is just me coaching you, okay? I love you so much. So now, 6 ways to make visibility feel easier as a woman of color. And I'm saying this as someone who has an exceptionally difficult time. You would not think this. I have made almost $1 million in business. I have been on dozens of podcasts. I have spoken on stages, all the things. It still fucking terrifies me because there's so much on the line. It challenges so much about myself. I have to love myself so hard to do these things, right? So this is not my norm by any means necessary, right? Or by any means, right? So 6 ways to make visibility feel easier as a woman of color. We're going to go in order. I think this is going to be in order, okay? One is going to lead to the other. One's going to let the other feel a little bit more easy. Whew, let's take a breath and be together here in this moment. So this is just my heart like pouring through. Like this is just like me and what I was meant to do in this world. It almost makes me emotional. This is what I was meant to do in this world. I'm going to like get emotional in the middle of this podcast episode. This is what I was meant to do. Anna, don't cut this out. I'm talking to my podcast editor. Because I think I spent so many years of my life like shutting the fuck up and doubting myself and letting other people speak for me and alter my sense of reality, like being in relationships and marriages where I was gaslit, and just as a child as well. I know that was not my parents' intention, and I just like questioned my sense of reality, and I just shrunk and I shrunk and I shrunk and I shrunk. And I am very proud of the reality that I'm living now because I have a brand. I have a brand beyond any offer. Beyond any offer, I am a brand that is worth money, that has built trust, that has built a reputation, that attracts speaking opportunities, that attracts clients, right? And I've had to do so much scary shit for this. This is why I don't want these lessons to live with me and end with me. I want to give them back to you. I want to help you. As a podcast host, whether it's just you listening to my podcast, whether you become my private client, whether you join Reclamation Mastermind, or if you don't do any of those things, if you just hear this one time and you never hear anything else again, I want you to hear and see yourself in it. I'm still like wiping tears. Did not expect this, but let's not edit this out. This is really my heart. Okay, so 6 ways to make visibility feel easier as a woman of color. In order, number 1, acknowledge the emotion that is coming up when you are scared to be visible. So instead of asking, why do I feel this way? Why is this so hard for me? Why can't I just do this? Ask, what am I feeling in this moment? What am I feeling? And you might just be like, I'm scared. I'm scared. I'm scared people are going to say this about me. I'm scared it's not going to be good enough. I'm scared I'm going to be wrong. I'm just scared. And it's just like, just name the emotion. It's okay that I'm scared, right? So I'll name something that Yuri C. Gomez Serrano, who I adore forever, who was my somatic coach for all of 2022, who is my client in Reclamation Mastermind for all 3 rounds, or all rounds, and also is our in-house nervous system coach. I have her as a nervous system coach in the program because part of what we do is like increase capacity and increase safety for visibility and in taking the actions you want to take in business. So it is a part of the program. And she said this week at the top of the call, we kind of did a little bit of like emotional check-in and all of that. And she said, if you're overthinking, you're underfeeling. If you're overthinking, you're underfeeling. And it's the same with visibility. When visibility comes up and you're just like, you feel resistance, what is the emotion? So when you feel resistance, what is the emotion, right? So acknowledge the emotion, number 1. Number 2, validate why it's hard. Why does this make sense that it feels hard? Why does it make sense that I'm scared? Number 1, it's not hard because it's a personality trait. It's hard because of oppression. Number 2, the things that feel easy to you are the things you've practiced, and the things that feel hard to you are just things you haven't. So what if you just haven't practiced visibility because that wasn't the thing that you were taught? So this is part of, again, like separation of things as a personality trait. And you can see it as something that can be worked on and can be improved and can be built as a muscle. And again, like it's just practice. So I think about like, if you didn't practice visibility, I sure as hell didn't, right? I was called shy and quiet and nerdy, but like, was I really shy, quiet, and nerdy? I mean, I acted like it, but was I really truly that person? We will never know who I would have been in my childhood, right? But then I think about my daughter and I'm like, she's lit, she's outspoken, she's bold, she's opinionated, but that's only because I cultivate that in her. I allow it to happen and she feels safe to do that, right? So validate why it's hard. Number 3, ask less of the thing you're doing. So ask less of your visibility. So if you're sitting here and you're just like, I gotta go live and I gotta do this whole check. It's like, no. What I say is like, on the hardest days, you want to ask less of it. And you say, what needs to exist outside my body right now? Even if it's not teaching, even if it's not the most profound thing, what if it's not profound? What if it's not profound? Do you have something to say that just needs to exist outside your body? And if it does, it's met the criteria by existing outside your body. It's met the criteria, period. Done. You did it. Share anything. It doesn't even matter. And when we ask less of it, we immediately will reduce our resistance to it. I would rather you, on your hardest days, the days that you're the most in self-doubt, just say, what is one thing I can do to be visible that is the easiest thing? It could literally be, here's what I'm doing today. Like, this is what I'm doing. You guys have a good day. Like, whatever that is, anything. Or just the simplest thing. And I say this where I'm like, if there's a part of you that wants to be visible and that part is scared, the last thing you want to do is be a stage mom to that part, to be like, okay, well, you're going to be visible, but then make sure you say this, and then make sure you got a CTA, and then make sure you got this, and it has to sound smart. This is not the day to be a fucking stage mom to your visibility. What needs to exist outside your body today? So that's number 3. Ask less of the thing you're doing. Don't be a stage mom to your visibility on your hardest days. Just let it exist outside your body. That in itself will increase your capacity for visibility in itself, right? New neural pathways will be built from this. Okay, so number 4, ask yourself, what do I need? What do I need in order to increase my capacity to do this? So sometimes visibility feels hard because we're in fight or flight. For me personally, when I'm in fight or flight, it literally means your body wants to run. So I go to the gym. It just helps me calm down, right? And there's some days that you're in freeze. And I don't know how much awareness you have around your body, but this is why we have nervous system and reclamation, that if you're in freeze and you're just like, I just feel stuck, like I know what I want to do, but I can't do it. Those are days where it's like maybe you're walking in the sunlight, right? And you just have sunlight hit your face. Maybe you're just writing out your thoughts. Maybe you splash cold water in your face. Like, what is it that is going to help increase your capacity to be visible? That's number 4. Number 5, also, so number 5, I have my clients, especially my private clients, when I work with them, rank visibility in terms of capacity. So it's like there's certain things that cost you more energetic dollars, right, than others. So there's things essentially that trigger you more and feel harder. If you know which ones feel really big, don't do those on your hardest days, right? How can you have some action versus none? Some action versus none. And some days maybe it's you don't have to, but I think most of the time what feels hard is we're also asking a lot of it. So we're like just have an understanding and rank your visibility in terms of what activates you the most. And based on that, what is something that feels simpler, and just do that on the days that it feels hard, because what happens is you will build an association with, I can decide what visibility feels like for me. And that builds trust with yourself, that builds that neural pathway, that visibility is safe. Even if it's resharing something with your thoughts and you're not showing your face. For me personally, showing my face feels hard on days where I'm activated, right? Like actually showing my face and teaching, like I can share about my day, but like showing up and coaching on camera or whatever, like that tends to feel harder, and that's okay. But I'd rather share something. And so then I build this relationship with myself that like, oh, I'm visible, right? Like I'm visible, even if I haven't written an email in a really long time, even if I haven't done this in a long time, it's okay because I did this. So I'd rather you not ask level 10 visibility of yourself on a level 1 and 2 day, capacity day, right? Just rank it. Like what are different ways you can be visible from 1 to 10, and pick something from the list based on your capacity, and ask yourself, like, what do I also need to feel safer to do this, right? So that's number 5, rank visibility in terms of what you have the capacity for, and just ask yourself to do something that takes less capacity on the harder days. I actually do this with my clients where they do 3 circles, safe zone, growth zone, danger zone. We rank it that way. I have lots of tools around this, around increasing your safety for this. And finally, number 6 ways to make visibility feel easier as a woman of color is embrace it as a journey versus a destination. Because what if visibility always creates a reaction? What if it always creates a reaction? But it doesn't always have to feel debilitating. It's not always going to change your actions. There may be a day where you're just like, oh, I notice it's coming up. This must matter to me. It must matter to me. That's okay. Or, oh, I must be hitting an upper limit, because the things that feel easy now used to feel hard, right? So like, it's just normal for you to have reactions to visibility. You're a human being. Even if you weren't a person of color. So what if more visibility always creates a reaction because you're always acclimating yourself to more and more visibility, depending if this is what you want. But if you're a business owner, certainly this is going to be part of, a part of your journey. You can decide you don't want to market in a way that shows your face all the time. Fully feel you. This is why I'm like podcast and email. I love podcast and email, being on stories sometimes. Like that's fine. But what if it's always going to create a reaction? And part of seeing it as a journey is like, how can I just build the muscle that I haven't had to flex before? It's just building a muscle you haven't had to flex before. It's just building capacity for something you haven't practiced before. It's just building safety for something you haven't practiced before as much, right? So I'm going to recap the 6 things, 6 ways or 6 steps. 6 steps? Yeah, 6 steps to making visibility feel easier. And they're steps because they're kind of in order. Number 1, acknowledge the emotion. Number 2, validate why it's hard. Number 3, ask less of the thing you're doing. Like ask less of the visibility. It just needs to exist outside your body on some days, right? That lowers the resistance immediately. Number 4, what do I need in order to increase my capacity to do this, right? So it might be like tending to your actual emotional state before shoving yourself on stage when you're like, it's all right. Regulation is part of business and visibility. Number 4, what do I need to increase my capacity to do this? Number 5, be aware of or rank visibility in terms of how much it activates you. And on the days that it feels hard, do the easier thing. It will actually if you do a level 2 thing today, it'll actually make the level 8, 9 feel easier tomorrow because you're strengthening that trust, you're strengthening that safety, you're strengthening that neural pathway between you and visibility. So that's number 5, rank visibility in terms of what activates you the least to the most. And number 6, embrace it as a journey versus a destination. It's just giving you feedback. It's just giving you data saying, hey, this is different. Hey, we're not used to this. Hey, this isn't what we've practiced. Hey, are you sure? Hey, are we safe? Right? And just know that with visibility, what feels absolutely terrifying today, you might not even think about it 3 years from now. You might not. Like certainly, like at the beginning, I used to journal about being on stages. I used to journal about saying goodbye to my daughter because I was being flown somewhere to speak. And if I actually had that opportunity back then, I probably would have gotten super in my head about it and felt like I needed to write out a whole speech and all of this. And now like you literally could stick me on a stage anywhere and be like, give me a topic. And I could go and be like, yeah, I got you. But that just came with practice. And yet a lot of things still feel hard. I still don't like going live on IG by myself. I still have a hard time like showing my face on stories when I'm, busy or in self-doubt or whatever. And so it's like, let's just not ask us to be perfect at this. And like, let's just have so much freaking compassion for ourselves for doing this, because this is more than just us being visible for ourselves. It is us kind of climbing our way up to the top of this mountain so more people like us can see us, so more people can see what's possible, so more people can see themselves in us and our story, so that more people can shift what they think is possible for them as well. And so to whatever degree that drives you, to just know that like, this isn't about you wanting attention or about you. It's like just you being seen is going to shift somebody's perspective, and representation is so important. And just know that we weren't wired to do this. We weren't conditioned to do this. Natural strengths are different from conditioning, but that doesn't mean that it isn't possible, right? This is what I do. This is what I coach on. This is what I help my clients with. And it's the most beautiful, rewarding thing, because it's almost like we get to give ourselves all of the safety and the validation in reverse for the mission that we have carried out. And I can't believe I cried on this episode, but it's okay, because this is this is how you know that something matters to me so much. And so if this episode spoke to you, I would love to hear which part. Share it on social media. DM me on Instagram at mariella.delamora, on IG. You can message me on LinkedIn. I would love to hear about it, because this is just giving me feedback in terms of like what is resonating, what is landing, and just confirming my mission in this world. One of them. And I hope that this helped, and I hope you felt seen, and that this is something that you can refer back to. And if you are looking for a mentor, support, coach on this journey, visit my website, marielladelamora.com, or you can find me on Instagram. There are ways that you can work with me as a private client in different capacities, from 3 months to 6 months, from monthly calls to weekly calls. I have expanded that so that you can decide, and we can decide together, if you're not sure, what you need. I have some clients who are like, I don't even know what I would talk to you about every week. The one call is enough. And then we chat on Telegram in between, and that's perfect for them. And we're getting clear on their stories and their thought leadership and visibility and all the things. And I do life coaching, in there as well. And then others are like, no, the only time I can even hear myself think is when we have our calls. Our calls are everything. I'm so busy and I'm so scattered and I have a full-time job and I need our weekly calls. Perfect. I've got you. So message me, or you can also get on the wait list for Reclamation Mastermind. We open doors Wednesday, December 4th. It is a 12-month mastermind that centers the lived experiences of women of color and first gen. And this is where you will increase your safety and capacity to become an in-demand thought leader with booked out offers that attracts speaking opportunities and clients and visibility. And it comes along with the building of the safety as well. We have nervous system support. We have everything that is really centered around your experiences so that you can make more money, attract more opportunities, and just feel more safe and grounded and at home in your business. And I can't wait for everyone who's going to join the next round. It is truly like a byproduct of my life's work. And it is such a special, special space that I have not seen anything like it. And this is why I created it. And so, just visit my website, learn more about those options. Message me if you have any questions. And that's it. Thank you for being with me. And I will see you all next week.